generation in need. Welcome to PickEd Speaks. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your new edition of PickEd Speaks. I am DeAndre PickEd, your host, and I am so grateful that each and every one of you are joining us this week. We took a week off to refresh, regroup, rejuvenate, and get ourselves refreshed for what is to come. And so we are just so grateful that you all are joining us back. I'm actually excited about whom I'm actually bringing back. This gentleman was actually requested to come back. And so it just was befitting that I said, you know what, let's see if he's available. He was available. So I'm so excited. I'm so glad that he is joining us today. So I want to bring on, you know him. He's been here before. We want to bring on none other than Dr. Zachary Kirk to join us and be a part of the experience. How are you, good brother?
Hello, my friend. I am well. And hello to everyone out there in PickEd world.
Again, thank you so much.
Including the PickEd family in PickEd world. No, I'm happy to speak to all.
But again, thank you for just being a part of this experience and joining and coming back. There were some people who said, listen, we want to hear from him. We were excited about him. And so I was so excited that you again were just available. Again, I want to say hello to Rodney. Watch somebody you'll be on live with in a couple of hours. So good. Good evening to you, Rodney. Hopefully,
Rodney, I hope that you're ready and hope you have some good. You're ready to handle some hard topics tonight.
Because I will be coming on and I will be watching it. So so make sure you have it together. So, but again, I would look forward to even bringing Rodney on, have you come on one day and see what and let the people hear you and talk to you. But tonight, I told the people. This was going to be an interesting conversation because of the fact that I truly wanted to just delve into some items that we didn't necessarily get to talk about last time, take some stuff deeper and just have open dialogue and discussion. And I know that you're good at that. You're excited about it. You're okay with having it. And so I'm going to have it with you. So here we go. So the first thing I want to say to all the people in TV land, because this is the most important thing outside of anything we talk about. So everything else is very important, but what I'm about to say is extremely important. This Thursday is the best day in the entire world. This Thursday, God created the best person to ever walk this earth. This Thursday is my birthday. And so I just wanted to put it out there that, and the reason why I'm bringing that up, I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, the time, Zach, that we're living in, I hate to say this, but we have to celebrate those small things. We aren't promised, based on what we're seeing, we're not promised every day, whether it be what we know scripturally or just what we're experiencing in life. We're not promised. And so I like to celebrate, every day. Yeah, my birthday is Thursday, but I like to celebrate every day. And so
over 35,000 people over the course of 72 hours in Florida have been diagnosed with COVID-19. So when you have those kind of sobering statistics that are in effect because of the failure of the American government and the elected officials that we put in office to take care of us, we most absolutely certainly must celebrate every single birthday, milestone, holiday, and just every single day that God has given us on this side of the ground, because we're living in perilous times.
Mm-hmm. And tonight we want to make sure we hear from you. So please make sure you comment, share with your family, share with your friends, let them know we're on live. Again, post comments. We want to hear from you. There's no crazy comment. We just want to make sure
comment supporting Donald Trump. Then it is a crazy comment. So we got to clarify. We need to put a clarifying statement right there on the table.
Okay, so there's no crazy people, they're just crazy comments.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. So we'll definitely say you all not crazy, just some of your comments maybe. So, but still, we want to be able to hear that, so we can even discuss that, because again, you never really know what people know or don't know if they say do it, they don't or don't know. And I actually want to bring that up too because of a comment or a conversation that I had this week with our board, but. The first thing I want to delve into, we can't run from it. We can't hide from it. On Friday, we experienced something that we probably would have, it's hard to even explain. We lost two amazing giants. And I call them giants because those men walked tall. Even if they weren't in tall stature, they walked tall. These men were, I mean, the pinnacle of resilient leaders, of humble leaders. That is, of course, C.T. Vivian and John Lewis. Both of these men I had the opportunity to know and meet, more so C.T. Vivian, and just his tutelage and just who he was. And so that was a blow for me. But even to see John Lewis. But one of the things that we also have to understand is these men live to be 80 and 95 years old, live full lives. And so though we're, sad to see them go, we're also grateful that we had them. And so we're grateful for the legacy that they left. Speaking of that, though, John Lewis's seat, however, according to Georgia law, the Democratic Party of Georgia had to make a decision literally the next business day, because he passed away on Friday. The next business day was today. So they had to make a decision on the next business day of who would take, either they would leave the seat vacant or if they would actually present a candidate to take on the role. Of course, we know that District 5, is heavily Democratic. And so whoever takes the seat will be the next representative.
Do you live in the Georgia 5th Congressional District?
Say it again?
Do you live in the Georgia 5th
I no longer live in the Georgia 5th.
I do. I've lived in Georgia 5th. I've lived here. I've lived here since 2004. I moved to Atlanta in 2002, and I lived in Stockbridge at the time, literally 3 miles from my school, because it was more important for me to be at work on time. And I knew that I was going to stay late the first couple of years, that I could, get home at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when I left the building. But I have lived in the Georgia Congressional 5th District, however, since 2004, and I still live in the district. So,
and I just left the district last year.
Okay.
So I've been in the district most of my time being here in Georgia, served in it, worked in it, and so it still resonates with me because a lot of the families that I've taught and engaged with live in that 5th district, and it expands quite a bit away. It's a very large district, but it is heavily Democratic. And so earlier today, almost about 3:30, give or take, the Democratic Party made a selection. We got down to 5 individuals. The 5 individuals: Park Cannon, James Woodall, Dr. Robert Franklin, Andre Dickens, as well as Nikema Williams. Out of 131 applicants, they narrowed it down to 5. And out of those 5, they made a selection, and it was almost, if you watched it, it was almost unanimous that they selected the Democratic Party leader of the Democratic Party as State Senator Nikema Williams to take on the seat, whom in essence will be the next the next representative, Congresswoman for the district, and now sending another African American woman to Congress to fill the role starting in January of 2021. Your thoughts on the process, sending, what message of sending her to Congress does it send? And do you think that we are in a decent place? Do you think we're in a good place?
Senator Williams is going to do a fine job. And so we can now, very soon we'll be able to call her Representative Williams. Or Congresswoman Williams. She's going to do a fine job. She has done a very impressive career of service, having served with, in a number of organizations before being put in the Georgia Senate. But I'm going to be honest when I say that I was not exceptionally pleased with how the process went down. I do appreciate the process being the process. I'm not talking about the law that allowed and forced us to select a candidate as a member of the Georgia Democratic Party today. That I appreciate it, because the worst thing that could have happened at a time like this, after having lost such an icon of the civil rights community, is to have Brian Kemp the notoriously, I want the governor of Georgia, and I'll leave it at that, then select his replacement as it would have been had he been a senator. So I like and appreciate the process that we have in place from the, for replacing the United States representative. But I really want that seat to go to someone who has earned the seat. I want to see a real election occur where that person has to actually run a campaign without the title of incumbent behind his or her name. I do believe that Senator Williams knows that by being the incumbent, she is now going to have a her chances of being reelected have now tripled in the Congressional 5. We are the most Democratic and one of the most diverse districts. We are the most Democratic district in the United States, according to some sources, and we are the most one of the most diverse districts in the United States of America. She knows that. And so I didn't like the way that happened. Nakima's only been in the Georgia Senate since 2017. There are other people who applied for that opportunity, like former State Senator Vincent Ford, who Nakima replaced when he stepped down to run for mayor, that have put in a longer span of time. So if you wanted to go with establishment, there are people that I would have preferred to see go be selected. Or if you want to go with a brand new voice, I would have also preferred a different candidate for that as well. I think that whoever should have gotten picked today should have made a commitment to the people of Georgia to not run again when the seat comes up for re-election. It should have been a 2-year stint. They serve for 2 years and that's it. And that way, starting immediately after that person is put into office in January, you have a 2-year campaign to replace this legacy for our state. That is what I believe.
Do you think that because some people may have classified it as a legacy seat, some people may have, there are some people who, not this seat, but just in positions and so forth, some people feel entitled to have, because of the fact that they have done a certain thing or been in a certain place, that they're supposed to be next in line.
Well, I think that fits and defines Nakima. I think that she was one of the ones who would have necessarily felt entitled because she's head of the Democratic Party in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So I agree with the people that feel that way. I do not feel that way. I do not feel that anyone is entitled to any elected position. That's not the way that politics works. It goes by the will of the people, and we express that will by voting.
And do you think that she, now that, she has been deemed the nominee, ultimately, the presumptive Congresswoman, do you agree with some of the statements, even some of the people from his own camp, that said that whoever received the seat should ultimately resign from it?
Yeah, they should resign. Yeah. Now I know she's not going to, mm-hmm. and they knew that when they selected her. Mm-hmm. But I believe they should have been a preset determination before any selection was made that this person would be a placeholder. And that the other candidates would begin immediately with the running process and the campaigning process to get the seat again in 2020, the real candidates. So that is why, and again, Nakima is a wonderful woman, and I know that she's going to do a great job. I'm going to support her fully. However, I'm disappointed in the fact that the Democratic Party of Georgia did not make that decision up front to say, if you get the seat, you can only hold it for 2 years. It's your placeholder until 2020, when we are actually going to begin immediately.
And that becomes, and that's one thing because now, of course, what that now opens up is her seat, because now she ultimately has to now, there's a few options they have right now, because technically she doesn't have to resign her current seat. She just has to have her name taken off the ballot. So she doesn't have to resign her seat, but it is going to open up a seat. And I'm just curious to know, because, I've seen this earlier today on someone's Facebook page. So there's been a candidate that has continuously run against her since she's been in the Senate. And there's some people who are a little disheartened that she may, she actually just announced immediately once Nakima was selected that she was running again. Do you think that once someone has run for a position enough times, do you think, and they've not won it, do you think that person to say that people have spoken and just kind of let that be, Or do
you can run again over and over and over. You have that right in the American political process. It's the will of the people. But if this young lady isn't a good candidate, the people will speak. Now, who is a woman? I mean, she put it on Facebook, I'm sure. Yeah. So I want to know who is it.
So Linda Pritchett has been the person who has run against Nikema in that area, and I know Linda. Okay. So I want people to know that this is not an endorsement against or for Linda. But the critique or the criticism has been that she has run multiple times, either in that area or in that particular seat. And the people have not. Now, she came close. Now, this is very clear. She came close, not this time, back in I guess it was 2018? So she came close. But this go round, it was not close. So because this person continuously runs, do you think do you think the people have already spoken by not putting you in? Or do you think, maybe now that, the popular candidate is not in, you may now have the opportunity to now possibly take rank?
This is the benefit of anyone who is a persistent candidate. The benefit for this person becomes name recognition. The curse of the person becomes a failed campaign and whatever you did the other times you've run to not win the election. So if she did not win because Nikema was so popular in her district, then she has a strong chance perhaps of having name recognition and taking off. If she didn't win because people do not like her, then she shouldn't run again. But I do believe that she has the right to run it. And she may do well. I don't know her. The name is familiar, but I don't know her and what she does at the current moment.
Well, we want to hear from you. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you think about just the process itself. I want to know what you think about, what you've seen. Some people feel a certain kind of way. Again, some people feel that she should definitely step aside. Some people feel that at the end of the day, maybe she's the best person for the seat.
Well, DeAndre, here's my question. Did you live, or do you know, I know you're from the west side of Atlanta originally, so do you even know people that lived in the Nikema zone or her district? Georgia, the 39th district, Georgia Senate 39. What were some of the accomplishments and things that she has been able to achieve in her time since 2017 to 2020 in the Georgia House that would make her a suitable candidate for United States representative?
Well, she was actually my senator because that was actually my district.
Okay.
And so I think what I believe people saw, what people base it off of is the fact that many people will utilize that, she was a fighter for, she was a fighter for LGBTQ rights. So many people will say, she was a starch advocate there. Many people will say that she stood in the gap on a number of occasions for voter suppression. Many people will say that she was on the forefront and the line for when they were fighting for healthcare. Again, a lot of those things, though, were before she became elected. So these were before elected issues. Okay. Now, for me, I can't say one way or another that she was the best choice. Me personally, if anyone, I've known Nikema since I was a freshman in college. I've known her. She's, older than I am, but when I was getting into politics and in Georgia, she pretty much helped me through that process. So by all means, I've always had a love for her on that sense. But when it came down to whom I felt like the Democratic Party had a chance to really make a statement, and not just make a point, but make a statement. And that statement was that you could say, you know what? John Lewis was a man who believed in young bodies and young people. He was a young man who fought and advocated. This was the best opportunity for them to send a young black man or a young black woman to Congress.
I agree.
This was an opportunity, a progressive young man and a woman. If they wanted to, quote unquote, allow a seat holder, if they wanted to have a seat holder, and they wanted to say, you know what, we'll give the people an opportunity to vote in 2 years, set a statement. You are the state of Georgia. So set a statement. You could have, if you made those, okay, let's just say you had those 5 individuals. Out of those 5, you could have sent a Park Cannon, a young Black queer woman who could have represented, who would have been from Georgia. That's sending a statement. You could have sent a James Woodall, who is a young Black fighter for social justice. You could have sent an Andre Dickens, who would have been honestly my choice. Andre Dickens, who has been a stark advocate for civil justice, not just on the sense of community, but also trying to find technology opportunities for young Black people across the city of Atlanta, who's created scholarships and programs to help to help those young people who may not feel like they're going to college, but find other opportunities. That for me is forward thinking, because you're trying to change the communities. They had the opportunity. And truth be told, if you wanted to make an even bigger statement, they could have gone with Dr. Robert Franklin, who is not a politico, who is not ultimately a part of the mainstream politics.
Who would have been a placeholder, probably only doing this for the 2 years to see until the next election.
Which would have given the opportunity
for him to run and earn the seat.
Correct. So in 2 years, one of two things would have happened. If he wanted to keep it, he then would have had to show the people exactly why he's supposed to be there, or given the people the opportunity. Now, and I was watching it. I was watching it earlier, and I seen I can't remember her name. I meant to write it down. I seen one of the ladies say something that kind of pissed me off a little bit. It was one of the white ladies who said something. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember her name. But she was adamant about, who should go in. But, she was talking about all this rhetoric about the talk, about, we should give the people the voice. Well, fine, we're going to give, you can give the people the voice, but we are the voices right now. And I get that. But the snobbish way of saying that, the way of making it seem like, well, we're making the choice now and the people have to deal with it and they can deal with it in 2 years. You don't make statements like that.
No.
You don't do that. And I think that for me, and again,
because you're taking for granted that people in this district are going to vote for you no matter what. And that is not the case.
Yeah. And nobody has a problem. Like I said, at the end of the day, we know that Nikema is going to go up there and she's going to do what needs to be done. She's going to make sure that she's gonna I have no doubt that she's gonna be a bad person. I don't think that she's gonna go up there and do a bad job. At the end of the day, she was who was selected, so we need to support her.
She's going to go to Washington just like Lucy McBath went to Washington. She's going to be there to learn how to do the job, and it's going to take 2 whole years to learn. So in terms of what she will actually be able to achieve and accomplish, it won't be a great deal because she's going to be a freshman member of the House. It's going to be with very little privileges, very little opportunity to speak, engage, and get limelight and spotlight. And it will be even less because she's coming from a Democratic district that they know will be a Democratic district. So they're not going to focus on even giving her any spotlight or giving her a shine. So we probably won't even hear from her on a national stage in the whole 2 years. Her winning re-election is going to be 100% up to her. And if someone steps up to the plate right now and they start today at this moment campaigning hard against her, they will have a strong chance of getting it. They really will. She won't be just because she will be the incumbent in name does not mean that she will be guaranteed to continue to win that seat.
And we're and I find it funny that we find ourselves so we get distracted by so many things. We have so much stuff going on. For instance, like we have a governor who has decided that he found it more important to utilize his power as the governor to sue the mayor of Atlanta. And because she decided, so it's a twofold. So people are saying that, he is suing her because of the fact that she is fighting against, she's mandating that the people in the city wear a mask. There's another aspect of the the lawsuit or the lawsuit that says that he's actually suing her because she's rolling back the mandate in the opening of the city. So she's pushing it back to the level 1 and to stage 1 because she is concerned about the city. And so, and I was watching the Georgia game yesterday morning. And they were, and one of the pundits was talking about this whole premise of that. How can you go back to a level 1 when you are when you've already opened it up? People have got businesses running again. People are quote unquote thriving again, and now you're telling them to roll back. And so that was the argument. My question, do
you remember which one of them made that argument?
It was I could say oh God, I know the black one. I know her name, and I can't think of her name right now. Is it Janelle?
Okay.
Yeah, Janelle. And she was just like, she was very clear in stating, well, how can you roll back, these measures when people are currently already, they're already hurting and they're thriving. And so we have to make sure we keep it open. But see, my problem with that whole premise is the fact that is unfortunately one of the reasons why we still have the issues that we're having. And I personally, I was supposed to go to my mom's house over the weekend, and I had something it was just my allergies acting up, and I've been having a sore throat, but I just stayed home because I was like, just to be on the safe side, I don't know what that is, and so I just want to make sure. What do you think? What are your thoughts about, first of all, even the lawsuit itself? And shout out to the people who went down, D. Dawkins Hagler and many others who went down to the Capitol today to his office and actually was calling him out. And I will tell you, if you go see the video, he kept sending his spokesperson out. They tried to say he wasn't there or he was busy, but they kept and said you need to go online and schedule an appointment with him. But he's not holding any in-person meetings. So that was foolish. But what are your thoughts about how he's handling Keisha Lance?
Yeah, I need to see. Who did you say? We need to get that video and help that video go viral so everyone can see the treatment of the Georgia governor. What's the name?
We talking about the video I saw earlier.
Yes.
So D. Dawkins Hagler had the video up. So I'm actually gonna, while you're talking about Hagler. So I'm gonna, while you're talking, while you're telling me your thoughts about them, I'm actually gonna try to pull up her video.
You can get the video. So this is what I'll say. First off, I think that you miss a third reason as to why Governor Kemp is taking action against Mayor Bottoms. I don't think that it's about the phase 1. I don't think it's about the mask ordinance, because he knows that neither of those are truly enforceable if people don't want to do them. He knows that. But you forgot to mention the fact that Keisha Lance Bottoms accused President Donald J. Trump of breaking civil law in Atlanta when he came to the airport refusing to wear a mask, which he did break law. I believe that led to President Trump saying, how is this even a law in the first place in your state? And emasculating him in conversation and snapping and whipping his boy, Brian Kemp, to get back in line. That thus prompted Brian Kemp to, on the very next day, after Mayor Bottoms said that President Trump was in violation, to then come back and take the action that he took. He should be ashamed of himself, but I'm really glad he's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre, what Brian Kemp is doing is going to haunt him in 2020. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that are going to remind this state of his behavior. There are a lot of people that voted for Brian Kemp that have now lost family members and who could very possibly still be dealing with lingering effects of having contracted COVID-19. Mm-hmm. 75,000 people of the 3.8 or 3.2 or 3.8 million people in this world, of 75,000 in America, still have side effects of COVID-19. 75,000 people are in a Facebook group dedicated to post-COVID-19 complications. So they had COVID-19, they tested negative, they're no longer positive for it, but they still have lingering health issues. People are not going to forget this in 2020, in November 2021, or November 2022. Yep. Brian Kemp will have a very long road to re-election. And it's going to continue to haunt him. It's going to continue to haunt all of his supporters and people who are continuously backing him. He is simply handing the state of Georgia over to the Democratic Party. And if we have good, decent leadership in the party, we should have no problems winning election in 2022 at the governor's seat.
Let me show you all just a brief moment of this video that they were earlier. I think I have it on the screen now. There it is. Let me see.
Keisha Lance's violence in regard to the mask ordinance. Keisha Lance's violence, the mayor has done due diligence in trying to protect the citizens of Atlanta. There are numerous mayors across the state who signed ordinances prior to her, but yet still she is the only one who is being held accountable and being sued. So what we're trying to do now is talk to the governor and tell him that this is unacceptable. As you can see, the doors are locked. They won't answer the door, but we're gonna keep knocking. I guess the governor's mansion is closed for business because of the coronavirus. However, they still wanna sue the mayor for trying to protect her citizens. So this is really, as you can see, it says governor staff.
And what we're really trying to say to the governor is that,
as you can see, it says,
you're trying to control women's bodies. You're trying to tell women what to do with their bodies. And now you are trying to control. Now you're trying to control.
To the governor, this is representative.
By standing up and speaking for the citizens of Atlanta, everyone that needs to be Atlanta.
We are coming on behalf of a concerned group of individuals. I am former State Rep. D. Dawkins Hagler. This is Representative Sandra G. Scott. We have Commissioner Sherry Washington from Rockdale County. We have numerous pastors. Dr. Tony Alvarado, Dr. Billy Boyd Cox, we have Catherine Hayward, we have Tony Alvarado, Dr. Jackie Mohair, we have Gwendolyn Ferrer, we have Michelle Shepard. We have come together because we want to talk to the governor. Is he here?
Unfortunately, we do have to set up an appointment, and at the moment, he's not doing face-to-face meetings.
Is it because of coronavirus? So he's not having face-to-face meetings because of coronavirus.
He has to set up an appointment and
you all wear masks, right?
You all wear masks. However, okay.
So however, he's trying to silence the mayor about speaking in regards to wearing masks.
well, I'm not the governor's spokesperson.
So would you do a favor? We have prepared this letter for the governor, and we're simply asking him to remove the injunction against Mayor Keisha Lance's violence and to rescind it because she's trying to protect.
And so what we're saying, I'm sorry, trying to stop
Atlanta.
the sound.
We know that in Georgia we have
So, we kind of saw like they were literally trying to, they were in there.
Cheers and applause to D. Dawkins Hagler. We are proud of you, our sister, for doing that work and for taking that proactive approach and bringing it right to the heart of the corruption. Brian Kemp, from the beginning, this man, I posted on Facebook, I want to say last week, a whole entire litany of do you even know who he is? Because a lot of my followers and friends on Facebook, they don't live in Georgia. A lot of them live in Mississippi, where I'm from. A lot of them live all over the South, all over the United States. And Brian Kemp, is still under the shadow of having possibly stolen an election that he did not win from Stacey Abrams. He is still under the shadow of a 2015 data breach while he was the Secretary of State that led to every single Georgia voter's identity being leaked to criminals. And he has had 2 years to reset and to fix the perception problem that he has, but instead he has doubled down on evil. Some would say double down on dumb, and instead has continuously isolated, divided, and hurt this state. And I'm so thankful that, Sister D. Dawkins Hagler stood up and went forward and marched right on. So I'm going to have to add her and get to know her. I'm at my 5,000 friend max, but I'm going to delete someone today so that I can then add D. Dawkins Hagler.
And they'll be going down there literally every day. So tomorrow, it'll be preachers and leaders Wednesday, they're asking all fraternities, sororities, Masons, and others. Thursday, they're asking, I can't, that the Deltas are going Thursday. Friday, literally, they're going every day until they can actually speak to him.
Well, and she needs to also add a day for educators.
Yep.
Because they're trying to kill educators by forcing them to go back to school face-to-face. Thankfully, the last Metro Atlanta holdout, Gwinnett County, decided to go virtual after they were hit hard in the face with data. Yep. Maybe that was it. Or it could be that someone, a board member maybe has contracted COVID-19, one of the ones who refused to wear a mask. They're very old. I'll pray for them if that's the case, because if they've contracted it.
Because unfortunately,
Jesus be a ventilator.
Well, we will say, because we know that unfortunately Fulton County was in position to possibly do the same thing, and then all of a sudden, the day before they made the decision, one of the board members announced or admitted that they had COVID.
I didn't know that. I did not know. Which board member?
Catherine Stewart.
Who?
Catherine Stewart, District 1.
From Alpharetta?
Yes.
I got to take a moment to just turn my head.
So the Alpharetta board member, so literally.
Not let the people get that on camera, that expression. So let me wait a minute, let me fix my face.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. So literally.
The one who has done so much damage to South Fulton.
The day before the announcement, before he made the announcement that he was making an announcement, when he made an announcement, she went on news and made it, and she put it out there that she and her husband had contracted COVID, and then literally his announcement was they're doing virtual. This was the same person who was again trying
for them to go to school.
Yeah, which again for me, when you said it probably happened, up in Gwinnett too, I wouldn't be surprised. But I also think that because a lot of them are catching heat and catching fire for all that foolishness, that's one of the reasons why. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break real quick. We're going to stop back, give you all a minute to refresh. We're going to refresh, regroup. We're going to take a quick break, do a commercial break. We're going to come back with some more interesting information right here on PickEd Speaks. We'll be right back. PickEd Speaks. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, I just want to come on and show a Black-owned business to support called Body Crystals Co. I love their body souffles. They are my favorite thing to moisturize with. I refuse to use anything else at this point. They are really nourishing for my skin, and they make the biggest difference I've ever seen. They smell amazing, and the texture on the product is really light and fluffy, and it's full of nourishing butters and oils, all natural ingredients, guys, and a little goes a long way. Look at how it just sinks into my skin. I assure you, that shoulder felt amazing. It doesn't leave a greasy feeling at all, and it gives a nice, deep, penetrating moisture, and it lasts a long time. It's good for the ashiest of ankles, I promise. And you can use it on your face and your hair. This stuff is really multifunctional. Go show her some love. All right, power to the people.
All right, so we are back. As you all saw, that is
now. Honestly, I genuinely feel for, I don't know the name of the lady, but the district board member in Fulton County who has contracted COVID, for her and her family and loved ones. I just hate that it took that kind of an occurrence for the Fulton County school system to then say this may be something that we need to be seriously concerned about. It shouldn't take that. It shouldn't be that someone has to contract COVID that they personally know in order for them to do what's right by students and teachers. I'm very opposed to schools opening face-to-face in the fall. I really, really, really think that the danger is too high. Had the state of Georgia and really the whole United States of America continue to implement lockdown quarantining measures until the Friday after 4th of July holiday was over, I think that we would be in great shape to go back to school and to work. And I think that we would have survived the COVID-19 crisis and been able to endure throughout the year without perhaps another shutdown. I'm not saying a shutdown is necessary now, or that is. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we did not do what we should have done because of pressure from our president and support of that pressure from local leaders, and it is unfortunate. And you keep getting scenario after scenario after scenario of people like Chuck Woolery, who comes out, says that COVID isn't real, or it's a hoax, or it's a lie, and then your son gets it. Or you're saying send kids back to school, they need to go to school, and then you contract it. This is all too common. You have, the governor of Oklahoma come to Tulsa, have your rally. We'll be all about making America great again, and then you contract COVID-19. It's just very, very coincidental. If you want to take the Lord out of it, it's very coincidental. But again, prayers to her and her family.
And I'll say that. And again, Fulton County is still, outside of, obviously, the school system, the schools, they still have some other stuff going on that they still have to correct and fix. Which, by the way, today is the first day of early voting. So I need people to understand that we still are in election season. So this is first for early voting, and everyone knows that I use my platform to speak truth to power, and I speak for people and advocate for people. So if you are in Fulton County, if you just so happen to be in the 4th district, hear me when I say this. I don't care if you have children in the school system. If you are in District 4, please make sure whatever you do, you go check the box for Francesca Warren to be the next school board member in District 4. Whatever you do, please make sure you go check that box. I'm not being paid to say that. I'm not getting anything. I just believe in what I believe in. And I believe in people. And when I know that there are certain people who are going to do what's best for our young people, I want to make sure those people get in. And why do I say make sure you go and do that even if you don't have any children? You need to realize that a lot of the times your property taxes, your property value, the way that your cities are contingent upon sometimes the schools in your area. You have to realize that the taxes that actually come, that your tax dollars, your taxes and being in that community takes care of the schools. Your property value is definitely, based on a lot of the stuff that happens with your schools. People move into areas that have good schools. People move to areas with good schools, property value go up. You are doing pretty decent. So you need to make sure that whatever you do, I don't care. Again, I don't care if you have children in the school district. Take your tail out. But just know, since you're going out there and voting for district attorney anyway, and since you're going out there and voting for judge anyway, you might as well go ahead and go vote for all three. Well, there's one more. There's district attorney, there's school board, there's District 65. If you're in the city of South Fulton in that area, you're also voting for District 65 state representative. Okay. There's a runoff for there as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's an incumbent versus someone who's run against before. I do believe, and I'll say this wholeheartedly, I do believe. My personal opinion is, I think that you know what, you and I talked about this the last time we were together. When I talked about people holding positions and sometimes maybe needing to make room for other individuals. My thing is this. I believe that John Lewis was an individual who was necessary for the time.
That's right. I used him as an example.
Yes. There's some people, I believe he's necessary for the time. However, there are some people who are just holding the position because I can, not because I should. And so we have to get to a place where we do that. District 4 encompasses mostly South Fulton, Chattahoochee Hills,
Westlake, the Westlake cluster, the Banneker cluster, Langston Hughes cluster.
Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking about cities, you're talking about Fairburn, Union City, Chattahoochee Hills, and city of South Fulton. That's pretty much
goes up into the Camp Creek as well. So
yeah, but in that city of South Fulton.
Look, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It doesn't touch any of East Point. It doesn't touch any of East Point. So it's literally that city of South Fulton area, Fairburn, Union City, Chattahoochee Hills. And so please make, and it's actually the largest district in Fulton County Schools. It is the largest district. And so please make sure, again, you go out there and you support, you support her. Because again, I'm a strong believer that and that's another thing. If I could be so blunt to say this, I also believe it's okay to have an educator on the school board. It's okay to have an educator on the school board. So often we're trying to find what we think is best. Why not have someone who's been in the trenches be able to advocate for the families? One thing I love about Francesca, she's been on multiple aspects of the arena. And so you want to have someone in position, in place, which I think may go to your point, Zach, when you're saying, we have to have people who not only just have the best interest, but also have the tools equipped to handle the roles. Chris says, any child, educator, faculty, staff should not be allowed to enter back into the schools. I am not comfortable. There is an effective plan in place to allow for a safe environment for those who will be entering the building to render services.
Right. I think there is not a plan. And there isn't a plan, Chris. There isn't a plan. Most school systems have been working tirelessly all summer to make a plan, trash the plan, make another plan, trash the plan, because the data has continuously changed. The requirements continuously changed. The CDC gave out stringent guidelines back, I want to say it was in early May, about how to reopen schools. Mm-hmm. I watched school systems plan and work around, this is what we have to do, scramble, find dollars, cut programs, cut other things they had on the table, trying to meet those guidelines of face shields, mask coverings. Then I watched those same educators ask the state leadership, Superintendent Richard Woods, Governor Kemp, are you going to allocate funding for us, additional funding to buy the requirements to open our new school system? Then I saw them lobby the federal government, begging for money, begging for resources. And now, as a result of that, no money has come. There's been no new stimulus package that included an allotment for public education. But what you now have is the CDC has been silenced. They were told to make new guidelines, which they made, but they won't be made public because the Trump administration has blocked the release of the new guidelines. This is extremely concerning at best, and I think exceptionally dangerous at worst. There is a book called 1984 that was written by George Orwell that talks about life in a totalitarian state. We are right there on the verge of absolutely totalitarianism from President Donald Trump. Like, we're right there. But I don't think people recognize how dangerous it is now that this leadership is controlling the flow of exceptionally important information that affects our health. But that's where we are. So, no, I don't think it's safe. And I agree with you 110%.
So I
can agree, I guess 100%.
So I kind of want to change this gear for 2 seconds, and I want to throw this picture up there. So I was going there. So Kanye West, presidential candidate Kanye West, had a rally over the weekend in South
Carolina, but he didn't even complete paperwork to run in South Carolina. So this man had the rally, but didn't complete the paperwork. So he's not even on the ballot.
And currently the only state that he is technically right now on the ballot for is Oklahoma.
That's good. That's good news.
And what people don't know is, and so this is just a quick history lesson when it comes to, now that you actually have, I guess a civics lesson, not history lesson, civics lesson. You have a two-party system, but of course you have that if you want to come on as another party candidate or if you want to be independent, there are certain qualifications that you have to create in order to make that ballot. You don't automatically just get that. Not all states have the actual same requirements and qualifications. Some states require you just to pay the fee and the Secretary of State puts you on the ballot. Some states require you to actually have to fill out the requested amount of registered voters to be the petition And it's a signed petition to have a registered number of voters to sign the petition. Then once they receive that petition, the Secretary of State of that state actually has to give you permission to actually go on the ballot. So just because you actually do the petitions, you find the paperwork, that Secretary of State has to do that. A large portions of the states have already, their deadline has already passed.
Correct. Yeah.
And so, right now what we're dealing with is, he's kind of picking and drawing straws. Do you believe that this is a ploy? Do you think this is something that they've discussed and they're trying to deter people from voting from Biden to go after him? So that
absolutely. I do believe that Kanye, this was a part of the Trump strategy. I think that President Trump is a skilled strategist, and I think that he has thought about what he would have to do. There were several ploys made to impact the African American, there were several attempts to impact the Black vote in America. President Trump had he rolled out his army of Black supporters. I can't call them Black leaders because they're not, but he rolled out his army of Black supporters, including Diamond and Silk, including some unknown twins. I don't know who they are, but the people really follow them, I guess, on their social media people. He rolled out Herman Cain. He rolled out these individuals, who are paid to play for the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. That had no impact. He then rolled out a whole, Blacks for Trump 2020 initiative, brought actors into Atlanta, people from all over the United States to pretend like they were Atlanta citizens. That gained no traction. That went nowhere. Now this is the third attempt to disenfranchise or impact the Black voters in this country, because he knows that he can't do that or pull over these Latinx voters. And even though he's making the ploy with Goya to attempt that as well. And to be honest, I think they're more vulnerable to his mechanisms than the Black community, because we are not, and not saying that they are, but I just feel like it would be easier from a political strategist point of view to get them to perhaps vote for him and vote Republican, because they've done it in the past more so than the African American vote, which is extremely loyal to the Democratic Party, both for good and for bad. And hopefully in 2020, in January 2021, we'll start seeing some changes in the party and how they respond to the Black agenda and Black leadership and Black demands.
And I want to go back for a quick second. Ms. Cummings is I actually know her very well. She's actually a parent liaison for one of the local schools in South Fulton and South Atlanta area. She's actually at Fulton Leadership Academy, the Academy for Young Men, excuse me. And she deals with parents on a number of one thing I don't think people give our parent liaisons enough credit. Because they also are the frontline workers who actually engage with our parents, and they're very, 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 very important roles. And so again, I appreciate you, Ms. Cummings, for the work that you do. But I do want to hear your response to this question as it pertains to your thoughts on virtual learning, and if it does, especially for those young people who, and I've heard you discuss it before, but those young people who may who need possibly that one-on-one and that in school, how does virtual learning work for them?
By Monday, I'm going to have an article done for the Educators Room website that talks about how to do this right, because I think that people need to know this can be done and can be done right. Can you do virtual learning effectively? What you had in the spring that was attacked by Secretary Betsy DeVos was not true planned virtual learning. It was emergency fill in the gap learning. No educator in America anticipated going to quarantine education. Teachers were not prepared for it. There wasn't training that had been put in place. Schools and school systems were not equipped for it. But educators came together. When I say educators, I'm including our paraprofessionals, our principals, our secretaries, our cafeteria staff members, our coaches. I'm talking about the whole entire learning community. They came together and found a way within 1 week of learning we're getting ready to shut down, sometimes even less than a week. They found a way to still provide educational services to children that were in need. What they could not do, however, was ensure that every child had connectivity, that every child had appropriate devices in their homes, that every child had the bandwidth to do the work that was being required of them, because that went beyond what they could control. So when you have people attacking what educators and what teachers did, they're not being fair to those educators, because they did an amount of work that was absolutely miraculous. That's the word I would use. It was miraculous. Now school systems are having to open the new school year in another type of virtual environment. And what is unfortunate is that they just found out now they will have to do that. Because as early as last Wednesday, Fulton County schools were saying we were going to go back to school. As early as today, Gwinnett County was saying they were going to go back to school. So educators were still in those environments planning to reopen school with face-to-face instruction. So even now, an opportunity had been missed. If at the end of June, if we would have known that we weren't returning to school face-to-face, we could have started working right then and there to make virtual learning successful and make it happen and make it well done. It's not too late. This is the power of an American teacher. Our teachers are still going to find a way to open their classrooms virtually and still give high quality instruction to those children in a virtual environment. A lot of learning loss has happened. But this is a time to look for the good in the moment. And the good in the moment comes in a form of opportunity to reset education as a whole. The Black Lives Matter movement has focused on defunding police and police reform. It's time for the COVID-19 moment to focus on dismantling systemic racism in education and rebuilding the process in a way that's going to benefit all children effectively, regardless of the environment. We have a lot of standards that need to be explored. Some of them in the social studies curriculum for Georgia Department of Education being inherently racist. That needs to be reevaluated, looked at, and reformed. We have an overabundance of testing that is not appropriate for children at developmental levels and across grade bands. It's our time to say no more state testing, no more making big test-making companies wealthy and rich off of the taxpayers' dollars. Instead, let's look at more quality assessments that we can give to kids that fall in a balanced continuum. Let's look at portfolio assessments. Let's look at performance assessments. Let's look at project-based learning style assessments that will really enrich a child's life and give them voice and choice and agency in what they do. That is what can come from the new era of education that we can go into if we embrace change and uncertainty. Mm-hmm. So again, kids will be behind Miss Cummings, but we can get them much further along if we do what we need to do and be brave, bold, and courageous and break down the barriers that we put kids in politically.
What are 2 or 3 nuggets that you as an educator would give to a parent that could, because obviously, our parents, they'll say, I'm not a teacher, I'm not this. What are 2 or 3 nuggets that you can give to a parent that can help that child, help the teachers, help the children in the school term?
Number 1 is you need to carve out time it goes both ways. So I'm going to have to give it both ways, right? Because it's a teacher and a parent responsibility in the era of digital learning. Number 1, teachers are not going to teach your child online for a full day. And I empathize for any teacher having to do that because it's not right. Teachers should, like in the classroom, one teacher for a second grade student, maybe with that student from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. That's not how it should work in the virtual world. That's not the appropriate learning model. It should be a broken down set of hours and times throughout the course of a week for quality instruction. In addition to, let's say in a perfect world, I'm an elementary teacher. I may have 4 hours of direct instruction with children with breaks in between the 4 hours, but then I'm going to have time that comes back for work with parents, perhaps weekly parent workshops, where I then teach the parents how I'm teaching their child. And I'm then equipping the parents with the tools and the resources that they need at home to help support the learning, because the parents are going to have to take a more active role in monitoring their kids' learning. And the teacher has to find a way to make it accessible to parents regardless of the parent's educational background in the elementary space. That's essential. The communication between school and home is going to have to be, even though the child is at home, that communication is going to have to change. Typically, in many of our schools and homes, it's about discipline and behavior, the communication that goes home. Now it's going to have to be instructional, and it's going to be about how instruction is happening and how you can work hand in hand with that teacher to ensure that instruction is correct. And that is the biggest change. So nugget number one to parents and teachers will be that you must work together if you're really going to see your child progress and really going to see your child move forward in the rate that we know they need to do with COVID-19. The second nugget of wisdom is going to be that as a parent, you're going to have to spend some time talking to your child and helping them mitigate the social emotional needs that he or she is going to have going back to school in a virtual environment. I would be devastated to have been a student at this time in my life. Like if right now, if COVID-19 happened to me when I was a student in high school, middle school, elementary school, I would have been devastated because I'm an extreme extrovert. I hated summer vacations because I grew up in rural Mississippi, so there was no go outside with your friends in the neighborhood. I grew up miles and 10 miles away from anybody. Miles. Like there was no way there was just me and my family. And that was it. So I went to school to socialize. I love that. That was very important to me. So kids who are in that same kind of environment, who go to school to socialize, they're missing that social interaction. So they need their parents to help guide them through that and be very aware of what they're dealing with social and emotionally. In addition to that, I can only imagine my social media time has increased during the era of COVID-19. I would assume that's also increased for children. I would imagine that things like cyberbullying has also increased and has also gone up. And kids probably need their parents' help in that environment. And I mean, I don't think they can just go to the Melania Trump Be Best campaign to get the resources that they need to feel better in the era of cyberbullying. That would be my second nugget. My third nugget would be to find creative ways at home to extend the learning. I have always recommended family book clubs. So that as a family, let's say you have an elementary age child, you guys pick an elementary age book and read it together. 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, you guys read Charlotte's Web as a family. You guys read Roll Up Thunder, Hear My Cry as a family. If you have younger kids, you pick the little read aloud book and you read it together as a family and you discuss the book. You ask the probing questions. You encourage your child to have the deep thought. And that's what you do as a family. If you have a high schooler or middle schooler, as A.C. Clemens said, you also have family book clubs, but you read books that are going to push the thinking in that household. And you guys talk about that book throughout the whole entire time of reading it. It really will help the family unit be stronger, and it's going to reinforce that child a lot of things that he or she should be learning in school, even if they're not. And for middle and high school, it's the exact same thing, and it's the exact same thing. It's no different. Again, parents and teachers working together to benefit the child individually. The parents talking to the child and helping with their social and emotional learning needs, and also having them as a family do educational things together like a family book club. I promise you those 3 things will make a difference.
And I also think adding to your last point, I think as parents modeling that culture, because of the fact that they see you, if they're not always seeing you in front of a television, but they're seeing you with a book. They're seeing you taking that time to cut that TV off and you're taking a book. A model culture, I've noticed just from a sociology background, you model that. Kids model what they see. People do see what they model what they see. Excuse me. And I think that becomes, sometimes we fall into this trap of allowing, again, the system and the television to raise the children and to, take the time. You need to have that time. You have to show that interest in your child, that social emotional aspect. You have to go, they're not going to have that interaction in the school system that they would normally have with their classmates. So you're going to have to be able to engage them, because especially in this COVID situation, they can't go out and quote unquote fully go play with their classmates or their friends in the neighborhood possibly. So you're going to have to be able to find and be able to look at the signs, notice the signs, pay attention to the signs, pay attention to things that you may see that are different, because again, that's going to make all the difference. Let's see, when our children were little, reading as a family helped our kids to increase their reading comprehension, writing, critical thinking, and communication skills. You're talking to 2 English educators who love that.
And, for those of you who are, I want to say it's Yale, right? So if you have big kids in the house and it's still the summertime, schools have pushed the start date back. Yale University has a free African American history course that is actually, I mean, it's a hard Yale course. It's Yale or Princeton. I think it may be Princeton. I'm sorry, maybe Princeton. And it's a hard course. It's completely free. They've opened it up to anyone in America to take the course. Take that course. Have your child also enroll in that course. And one, you get some adult learning credit, or if you're an educator, continuing education credits. But it's going to truly enhance your own understanding of Black culture and Black history in our nation. I firmly, strongly recommend it.
Sorry. Oh, and Dre, yeah.
How do I say it, LaDre?
Mm-hmm.
And just for LaDre, and so I gotta put in a plug, DeAndre, for my book club.
I was gonna ask you to do it. Yeah.
I've started a book club, and it's on Facebook. 3+1 Media. That is my Facebook organization, 3+1 Media. Like the page, join the group. Our very first book club selection is called Stamped from the Beginning, A History of Racist Ideas in America by Dr. Ibram Kendi, who's actually right now on Facebook Live as well as Twitter doing this huge, phenomenal talk. This book is like the #1 nonfiction bestseller in America post the George Floyd murder. And it has just grown exponentially. The book was released in 2016. I read the book for the first time in 2018, and it is powerful. But it's a big book. It's a very, very thick book. It's a 500+ page book. I read it on my iPad. It's 800 pages on the iPad. Buy the book now. Get it ordered. We are going to have the book club discussion on August 27th. We were going to have it August 4th, but everybody asked for more time. So we're going to push it back to August 27th. But it's going to be a powerful discussion because so much of what we think as Black people and as Americans has been preset by these racist ideas. And you will never break free of racism until you break free of thinking a certain kind of way. And this is not some kind of mumbo jumbo psychological nonsense. It's from a historical perspective. This is based on history, facts, source documents. It's called Stamped from the Beginning by Dr. Ibram X. Kendi. Phenomenal book. I promise you, it will shock you. But if you're not a reader, you can also listen to the book free on Spotify. It is free this month on Spotify.
Okay. So one more time, the name of the book, I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in the...
Stamped from the Beginning.
Stamped from the Beginning?
Stamped from the Beginning.
All right. I believe... All right, so I pulled it up. There we go. I'm good. We're good. Yeah. All right. Okay. So please make sure, and again, and tell them that date again. When are you officially starting?
The book club is going now. It's launched. But the book will be discussed in a live panel format on August 27th. Okay.
And they can find that on, they can actually come to your Facebook group. And so they'll go and find you on Facebook.
3+1 Media, and it's the word spelled out. 3+1 Media. Okay.
So please make sure that, again, one of the things that we want to do, and many of you all have plenty of time. Unfortunately, this joker who's on the live with me right now keeps forcing me to do something that I'm going to hold off telling you all right now because it's not all the way complete. But every 2 seconds,
you're working on it, right?
Yes, I am working on it. So every day I get a message. How is my? He claims it's his own. So I'm like, it's going well. But again, I also appreciate, and that's kind of the last nugget. If nothing else, if I can leave you with nothing else, make sure your circle supports what you're doing. Make sure your circle, if you don't have people in your circle correcting you, if you don't have people in your circle providing you advice and providing you critiques, you don't have a circle. You have a social club, and you don't need that all the time. You need people who are ultimately going to make sure that you're getting to where you're supposed to be, holding you accountable, keeping you keeping you focused. And especially at this time, I have been able to say that I've had so many great people in my life who's kept me focused. And this whole Corona situation that has been going on, I have been able to complete a lot of stuff. And that's one of the things I appreciate. I'll call him Dr. Kirk right now because I'll call him in Dr. Kirk mode. But Dr. Kirk has become annoyingly a great friend in that regard of making sure that I stay abreast on what I'm doing. But and Crystal, you put it, if your circle don't support what you're doing, you need a new circle. I said it. I believe it because I'm always. I think I used to coin this. I used to coin this phrase: "Don't let your circle turn you into a square."
That's right.
Yeah. Don't let your circle turn you into a square, because what happens is you'll turn around. And this is, again, the two people who just commented are part of my circle. This is my circle, my accountability circle. And I appreciate them so much because, again, we are in a place where we need each other. The last thing I'll say is this. The other day, I did get a chance to go out of the home for a brief moment. And I ended up and I hate to say this even about myself. And this is just kind of a transparent moment. I got off actually on University Avenue because I needed to get gas. And in a true transparent moment, I was nervous and concerned simply because I didn't quite know what to expect. Honestly, it's been a lot going on there. And I hate to say that because I've grew up in that area, around that area. I've taught around that area. I've known families around that area, and it's not the same anymore. But I was nervous, and I hate to say this, but I even went to a gas station and went by the gas station, and I saw, a bunch, of brothers, hanging around, belligerent, unfortunately.
Every time you go there, they were doing that before Wendy's, and they've always done that.
Yeah. Well, these particular brothers still had their firearms available, still accessible. You could see.
Okay.
So, as crazy as this may sound, I went over to those young brothers, and I just wanted to know, why they, many people have dispersed. Why are they still there? Like, why is this? Why do they still feel the need to still be there? And they didn't embrace me bad or anything else. They, I actually knew one of them from previous. I knew of him. I'll say that much. And so I think that might have been why they didn't mess with me too much. But the young brothers said to me, two of them said, this is our community. All these people who came in and showed their face are gone.
That's true.
But this is still our community. We live here. And they said, I'd be damned if I let people think that our community is not worth saving.
That's powerful.
He said, I'd be damned if people think I was. He said, because they left. They got their snapshot, they got their camera appearance. They got their trophy or their accolade. They got their moment in the sun on the news, and they might be seeking public office or whatever, or trying to get, whatever case may be, but we still here. And, he said, we're still left behind, and we're not thugs. We're not criminals. We just care about our community like everybody else. We just handle it differently. And I just literally sat there with those young brothers for a good 20, about 20, 30 minutes, just talking and just chatting, not about the community, just talking. And what would that be like if we stopped villainizing and making people villains and making people think that what they see on TV and what that everybody's doing that knows? How about some of those people are maybe trying to run people out who don't care about their communities out their community so they can take back their own community?
I agree 100%. I would probably have felt more comfortable approaching them than I feel approaching the National Guard troops that are around the state capitol. Right now, I would probably feel more comfortable talking to those brothers who, are there protecting their neighborhood than the other brothers who are not brothers, who the governor has dispatched to create a false sense of a militarized state in Georgia. I was over there as well last week. I was made every attempt to go to Jamrock to get some jerk chicken, but they were shut down. So I was very disappointed. And I thought just as for a moment, maybe I would go to JJ Fish, but I did not go to JJ Fish, not because of the not because of the crowd, but because I think they may put adobo seasoning on the chicken, and I will not be able to eat any food that has any Goya products on it. So I couldn't do it.
And you know, it's the sad part about it. So I was getting off of university so I could go there.
I knew it.
They were closed, but I stopped at that BP.
I had to boycott JJ Fish across the city of Atlanta until you can prove to me that those little bitty white specks that come on the chicken and the fish are not Goya products.
Yeah, and you know, and I told people the other day I'm really dying because I normally marinate my chicken in the other marinade. I said I can't even do that no more because of. But the last thing those brothers told me to say, because you know they know I have a platform, they said I want you to also tell people, you know, those same people, those same politicos, or those same whomever they would have called themselves. We thank them, but we don't. You know, we could do without what some of them are bringing. Mm-hmm. If they're not bringing it from a genuine place, if they're not really going to be out here and be about the community and just say they did something, they can stay away too. And I think those are the people they're also trying to drive away. You know, they don't need that. You know, if you know, we can't keep bringing and highlighting, if you will, we know what the issues are. We know what the problems are. We know what those things is. I'll say this. Like I posted on Facebook earlier, and this is a quote. This is so every day I put a different quote or a different mantra or something like that. And I put this today. I get confused to why we focus so much energy trying to handle the elephant in the room rather than addressing the people who bring the elephants. It's easier to provide solutions when you go after the real problems. At the end of the day, we know what the problems are. How it be soever, rather than try to tackle the elephant, let's start having the conversation with the people who keeps bringing this elephant, this problem into the room. Because if we don't address them, they're going to keep bringing problems. They're going to keep bringing issues. So we know what, you know, the mask ain't the problem. The rhetoric ain't the problem. It's the people who provide it, like the Trumps, like the Kemps, like the others. And it's that divisiveness that's going to be horrible. Other than this, other than Facebook and other than 3+1 Media, brother, how can they find you?
Find me on Instagram at Dr. Kirk English. I'm going to delete some Facebook friends this week so I can add some people. Going to add you, Chris, AC Cummings, and there's one other person I was going to add. So yeah, R. Wayne Woodson. I'm going to add you guys on Facebook. So you need to, let me tell you right here, I am deleting people to add you. So I hope that you feel AC Cummings even just a little bit like, oh, special in the moment. And I hope that you guys all have a really great week. Chris, I'm going to check out this Badaya seasoning, Badaya. I'm going to check them out. And I'm going to let you know on Facebook if it's not good. Okay? So, because I'm going to tell you, I didn't grow up with all these fancy seasonings that you guys had. There was no adobo in the Kirk house. We had salt and we had pepper, and we made it work. We would take, of course, we grew green peppers. I grew up in rural Mississippi, and we actually had 5 different fields that we worked every summer, and 2 fields we worked in the winter. I don't know if you guys, I know you guys are city slickers, and you may not be aware that there are certain things like turnips and potatoes and peanuts that grow in the wintertime. So you have year-round harvesting, but we would use a lot of peppers, fresh peppers to then season food, and pepper salt as well, and pepper sauce as well. So
now have you actually gotten some of the body crystals for your ashy elbows and ashy?
You know, I have not yet gotten the body crystals, but it's coming. So it's coming. I'm going to make my order.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, until we meet again. So next week, I am so excited because we do have an amazing individual coming next week. And you know, if you don't know this brother, please make sure you come by. Councilman Bellamy, who is the councilman for Charlottesville. He was the former vice mayor. He's been out there in the trenches. He's actually also the history department chair, political science department chair at Virginia State University as well. So please make sure you find your way on here next week. Again, Brother Zachary, thank you so much for always coming. I got to check you out in a couple of minutes.
Right.
Check you out on Thursday. You all plug that.
Every Thursday we do
tonight.
Tonight is a format that we're trying out called Five Guys on Live on Instagram on Facebook Live, and so we're trying it out. It's going really well. It's going to be talking about some of these same topics, but in a different perspective. It will be, I think that DeAndre and I both are similar enough. We're both educators. We're both. And that means that we have some similar experiences. Five Guys on Live are five guys from very different experiences who come at topics in a very different way. I promise you, you check it out. You're gonna be. I'm trying to find the right word for pissed off. You're going to be heated by somebody on that panel. And then every Thursday, I do a program called 3+1, which is really my passion project, where we bring in a guest every week. We interview a guest every week. We highlight someone, usually from the Atlanta community, that has something going. So if anyone's watching and you have a product, you have a program, you have a project that you're doing and you want to share it with a larger audience, contact me. That's what the 3+1 is for. And then we talk about politics, entertainment, and social media. My co-host is the amazing Tracy Bonner. I have to give her a shout out. Tracy Bonner, you may not know the name, but I bet you know the face. She is an actress. She has been on Queen Sugar. She has been in several films. She plays the pastor on the Netflix show Sweet Magnolias. She's also on the new season of Doom Patrol on HBO Max. So her star just continues to rise, and I'm thankful to work with her while I can.
And again, when you see him tonight, when you go see him tonight, he does put himself on mute often because he'll say something and he'll put himself on mute, but then comes back and say something again like he was going to put his own. So it's interesting. But again, they're an amazing group of men.
You'll laugh. You will be pissed, but you'll laugh.
It's a great discussion. I found myself getting pissed off quite a few times with some of his co-hosts, and then of course Rodney Washu, who was on here earlier. I didn't like him at the beginning of the conversation.
He grew on you.
Then afterwards, he grew on me, and it was just great and wonderful. But again, please make sure you check them out. Please make sure you check out 3+1. Media. Please make sure you do that. Please join the book club now. Please make sure that you are engaged with us. Again, make sure, as always, you continue to do your best in your communities, and continue to make sure that you're following us on Facebook. You can go to www.facebook.com, facebook.com/. So I have now changed the name, thank goodness, of the page. So it's not I Am DS PickEd anymore. It's actually PickEd Speaks. So you now can find it at PickEd Speaks. You can also, the ending will tell you how else you can get with us until we meet again. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. Remember, this is PickEd Speaks, where Black excellence speaks for itself. God bless you and good night. Thanks for watching another episode of PickEd Speaks. Join us every Monday night right here at 7 p.m. You can also follow us or visit at www.facebook.com/IMDSPickEd and follow us today. Again, thanks for watching PickEd Speaks.